Good morning, students. My name is Suvas Vora, Assistant Professor of Electrical Department at Sri Swaminarayan Institute of Technology. Now start with the new chapters, the theory of circuit interruptions. But we were discussed in the previous lectures. In the previous lecture is the last topic of the numerical relay. So in the last lectures we were study about the distance protections of the transmissions line. So the basically the different transformer is the our major equipment in our power system. So it is very important to the protect them. So the transformer is one of the major equipment and it is the static device, so totally enclosed and usually the oil immersed. So therefore the fault occurs on the are usually rare. सो जनरली क्या होता है कि ट्रांसफार्मर के अंदर ऑयल होता है, तो उसकी वजह से ऑयल इज़ दी वर्किंग फॉर दी लुब्रिकेंट. सो जनरली उसमें फॉल्ट बहुत रेयर होते हैं, बट द इफेक्ट ऑफ इवन द रेयर फॉल्ट्स मे बी अ वेरी सीरियस फॉर द पावर ट्रांसफॉर्मर्स. Hence, the protections of the power transformer are against the possible fault is very important. So the fault occurs on the transformer is mainly divided into the two types of external fault as well as the internal faults. So the differential protection systems are mainly used for the protections against the face-to-face fault and face-to-ground faults. So what is the differential protection systems? So in the earlier chapters we can see that the differential protection systems. So in the systems you can see the figures. So in the internal winding of the transformers and both the entering side and the leaving side, the cities will be sensed individually the phase current, and this phase current is these cities are in entering cities have connections is star and the exit will be delta. Entering current and the leaving current are same, but the fault is in the internal types. At that time the entering current and the exit currents are different, and at that time the signal will be generated and the signal is open the circuit breakers. So these are the basic protections for the differential protection scheme of transformers. But in the numerical protection system scheme is generally you can see that here the mutual transformer is used. You can see the mutual transformers. These are the symbol of the mutual transformer. So these are the basic connections, but the numerical relay circuit is here. So in the both the side we can put the cities, and cities the check continuously entering current and exit current. If but in this protections the numerical relay is working for the vector form. If the vector difference of the entering and leaving current are difference, at that time numerical relay will give the signals to the circuit breaker for tripping the or open the circuits if the vector are in phase, so that there are the no fault in the internal. So these are the numerical differentials protection scheme work. Then after we can see that the distance protection systems. So distance protection system basically works on the current and voltage. It protection system, the even the fault will be arise at that time. Sudden change in occurs the measure the voltage and current and causing the variations in the measuring impedance. The distance element will trip the relay if the measure value of the impedance is less than the value set values. So these are the basic constructions. We can see the zone protections of the distance protection systems. The zone 1 is considered is the 80 percentage, then zone 2 is the 100% plus 20% or 100% of the another 100% of zone 3 and zone 4. So these are the distance protection functions. But now we will consider the numerical overcurrent relay. So here we can continuously measure the CTs and PTs, continuously current voltage and current. So we can use the individually CTs and PTs to find the voltage and current. These two current is analog signal contingency to filter out the signals. Then after this signal is given to the sample and hold circuits, then after the analog multiplexers, then analog to digital and given to the microprocessors. If the fault is occur at that time, this digital to analog signal is given to the DAC and the trip signal will given to the circuit breakers. So this system is working for the numerical overcurrent relay. So in the last lectures we can see this. So systems, then after we can see that the limitation of numerical relay, the protections qualities, then after the faster decisions, then risk hacking, interference and failure of impact. So these are the limitations of the numerical relay. Now, so chapter number 10, the theory of the circuit interference, and today's topic is physics of arc phenomena. So basically, in the power system, the current flow at the different voltage level and the circuit has to be switched on and off as per the requirement. So during the operations power system, the circuit is necessary to switch on and off the various circuits, for example the transmissions line, distributions and generating line. So the spark is produced when the circuit with the low value of the current is open. So the under normal conditions and abnormal conditions, in earlier days these functions used to be performed by the switch or fuse the place in the series with the circuit. However, such means of the control present to disadvantage. So firstly, the supply to customers, and secondly the fuse cannot successfully interrupt the heavy fault current that result from the fault on the modern high voltage and the large capacity. We know that हम जानते हैं कि फ्यूज़ में दो डिसएडवांटेज है। एक कि जब फ्यूज़ डिफ्यूज़ हो जाता है, यानी कि जो उसके तार है टंगस्टन वो बंद हो जाता है, तो उसको रिप्लेस करना पड़ता है। और फ्यूज़ कई बार जब हाई वोल्टेज की बात करते हैं हम, तो फ्यूज़ पूरी तरह से बंद हो जाता है। सो इस दो वजह से फ्यूज़ इज़ नॉट प्रेफरेबल इन अवर टुडे सिस्टम्स. So due to this disadvantage, the usage of the switch and the fuse is limited to low power, low voltage and small capacity circuit where the frequent operations are not exist. For example, the switching and the protections of the distribution transformer and the light circuit will be using. So electrical arc, what is the electrical arc? The arc is produced when the current carrying conductor of the circuit breaker are separate, and on the occurrence of the short circuited, the heavy current flow through the electrodes of the circuit breakers before they are opened by the protection systems. So, and the electrical arc is formed whenever the electrical current is passing between the two metallic electrodes which are separated by the short distance from the each others, and so that the definitions of the electrical contact regions thus surrounding the medium ionized and thus conducting the medium is formed, and this is called the arc. It means as you can see the figures here, you can see that अगर जब ये दो कॉन्टेक्ट्स है, वन इज द फर्स्ट एंड अनदर विल बी मूविंग एट दैट टाइम, जब यहाँ से जब ये कॉन्टैक्ट यहाँ से मूव होके यहाँ तक आता है तो एयर इज़ द मीडियम एंड एयर जब कंडक्टिंग मीडियम होती है तो यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं कोई आर्क जनरेट होती है. सो दिस आर्क इज़ कॉल्ड द इलेक्ट्रिकल आर्क. उसको हम जनरली इलेक्ट्रिकल फॉर्म में आयोनाइजेशंस कहते हैं. तो इट मीन्स द आयोनाइजेशन मीडियम. सो डिस्चार्जिंग इन द AC circuits. So what is the physics of the arc phenomenon? So the discharge in the AC circuit breaker generally in the form of the arc, so occurs in the two different way. The first one is when the conductor are being separate, at that time arcing is possible even when the circuit EMF is considerably below the minimum cold electrode breakdown voltage, and because of the large local increase in the voltage due to the circuit self inductance. So these are the first conditions for the arc is generated. The another one is in the AC circuit breakers, the arc is executed every time the current passing through the zero and can restrict only if the transient recovery voltage value known as the breakdown voltage. So basic phenomenon of the arc phenomenon is, the first one is the nature and the pressure P of the medium, then after the external ionizations and deionizations against the pressures, then voltage across the electrodes and its variation with the time, then nature, shape and the separations of the electrodes, the nature and the shape of the vessel and its the positions in the relations to the electrode. So basically, ideally, gas is a pure dielectric because it consists of the molecules which are electrical in nature. So it can be made to conduct only when the some are employed to create the free electrons and ionize in the gas. Generally, gas generally use होता है because the gas is the बेस कंडक्टिंग मीडियम, क्योंकि उसमें जो मॉलिक्यूल्स होते हैं वो इजीली हम वेरिएबल कर सकते हैं. सो व्हेन द गैस टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज sufficiently, at that time the molecules start to break down at the most serve collisions and the discollisions in their atoms. At the high temperatures, the some molecules and the atoms are deprived or separate the electrons, and the hot gas called the plasma become conductors. So you can see the arc interruptions theory. So in the high resistance interruptions and the low resistance or the current zero interruptions. So during the circuit breakers break the contact, and then the arc occurs between the contacts due to the high currents flowing the high currents. So these are consist of the column of ionized gas, and the electrons which have a negative charge are attracted towards the positive contact, and being the light move towards it very rapidly. So that you can see the figures of the electrical conductivities in various temperature of the air at the atmospheric pressures. So आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो कि जो एटमॉस्फेरिक इफेक्ट की वजह से so these are the values and these are the temperature effect in the arc. Now the arc phenomenon. So during the arcing period, the current flowing between the contacts depends upon the resistance, and the great resistance smaller the current that follow between the contacts. So that the arc resistance depends upon the degree of ionizations, then length of ionization. So degree of the ionizations, the arc resistance increase with the decrease in the number of ionization particles between the contact. If I can talk with the length of the arc, so the arc resistance यानी कि arc resistance increase with the decrease in the x sections of the arc. ये जो है जो आर्क है हम किस तरह से रिमूव कर सकते हैं या डिस्ट्रॉय कर सकते हैं उसकी बात है. सो डिग्री ऑफ द आयोनाइजेशंस में हम क्या कहते हैं कि जो उसके जो कॉन्टेक्ट्स होते हैं उसको नंबर ऑफ आयोनाइजेशंस पार्टिकल्स को ओपन कर देते हैं. अगर लार्ज लेंथ ऑफ आर्क है यानी कि लार्ज लेंथ उसका जो पाथ है वो लार्ज कर दे तो, और दूसरा है द क्रॉस सेक्शंस ऑफ आर्क, अगर आर्क का जो क्रॉस सेक्शंस है वो कम कर दे तो और रेजिस्टेंस कम कर दे तो. सो दिस आर द फिनोमिना. नाउ द आर्क एक्सिस्टेशंस. So arc existence means when the current carrying arc extinctions means they destroy the arc. When the current carrying contact of the circuit breaker are separate, then the arc is formed, and this producing arc is formed for a small time during the contact made or open. So these arc dissipated at the heat which may result in the explosive the force. सो यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो कि जो फिक्स कांटेक्ट है और मूविंग कांटेक्ट है अगर मैं उसको मूव करता हूँ तो यहाँ पे जो देख सकते हो आप ये आर्क जनरेट होती है. सो जो ये आर्क है वो रिमूव करने के लिए हम जो मेथड यूज़ करते हैं उसको बोलते हैं आर्क एक्सटिंक्शंस. So generally arc is so the voltage which appear across the contact of the circuit breaker is called the arc voltage. So these are the figures. You can see that the characteristic between the voltage and current is shown in the figures. So in the figures you can see that the waveform, the voltage and ampere characteristic of the arc voltage is negative. That is arc voltage is high when the arc current is low, and this can be repeatable. आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं कि जो हमारी एक्चुअल वैल्यूज़ है वो आर्क वैल्यू से कम हो जाती है. सो दिस आर दी आर्क वोल्टेज. सो ये जो है वो आर्क वोल्टेज है. सो नाउ द मेथड ऑफ आर्क एक्सटिंक्शंस. So basically there are the two types of when the current carrying conductor of the circuit breaker are separate, then this arc is formed, and this producing arc is formed for the small during contact makes or open, and this arc dissipated as the heat which may result in explosive force. So the capability of the circuit breaker should be capable for executing the arc without causing any damage. So method of arc is the factors that are responsible for the maintenance of arc between the contacts are The first one is the potential difference between the contacts and ionized particles between the contacts. So potential difference is sufficient to maintain the arc. So in other words हम कह सकते हैं कि when the distance between the two separate contact is small, so to executing the arc between the contacts, अगर मैं arc जब generate होता है तब the contact can be separate to such a distance the potential difference becomes insufficient to maintain the arc. यानी कि अगर मैं जो कॉन्टेक्ट्स है वो बहुत नज़दीक रखता हूँ तो पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस की वजह से आर्क जनरेट होगी, बट उस जो आर्क हो रही है उसको इतने डिस्टेंस में मैं दो कॉन्टैक्ट को रख दूँ कि जहाँ पे वो कंडक्टिंग मीडियम को यूज़ करके आर्क जनरेट नहीं होगी. सो दिस आर दी कॉल द पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस बिटवीन द कॉन्टैक्ट्स. And the next one is the ionization particles between the contacts. So in the ionizations, particles between the contacts act as the charge carrier and offer the conducting path. So in the ionization particles, when the arc is struck between the contacts is surrounded by the ionization particles. So this particle tends to maintain the arc, and one way to executing the arc is deionizing arc path. यानी कि वो क्या करते हैं कि जो आयोनाइजेशन पाथ है वो आर्क के आसपास हो जाएंगे और कुछ टाइम के बाद वो आर्क को डिस्ट्रॉय कर देंगे. सो दिस मे बी अचीव बाय cooling the arc or by removing the ionization particles from the space between the circuit breaker contacts. So these are the method of arc executions. So today's your assignment questions is describe the brief of physics topic. You can contact me, and if any questions regarding this topic you can mail me. My mail id and the contact number is in your screen. Thank you.